After what feels like an eternity, the chairs are in the upright position. We are ready to go flying, Tessa Parkinson.
Perfect foiling conditions for these boats out here, Nick. We're very close to our start time. Boats racking up. Everybody's on windward, close to the boat end of the line. You can see the committee boat just to the right of the screen. It's a long start line. You'll see down the bottom of the screen a black and white checkered mark here as they accelerate, and they're away. They're off the line, all on starboard. We've got narrow boundaries on this course area here, so the boats are going to really maximise their foiling time right out to the left-hand side of the course near the container ships. So we're on board Euroflex here. You can see Glenn working hard on the main sheet, Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. They've absolutely nailed this one. A really nice slingshot off the line, and they're just absolutely launched out to the left side of the fleet here, sailing their own air.
You can see pavement to windward, also got a beautiful lane out to the left here, and above them again, ID, the red and grey sails there, really extending, so we've got quite a nice speed drag out to the left side of the course.
Tacking at 10. 5, going shallow. 3.
Hearing a lot of chat there from America's Cup winner Glenn Ashby, and given there's another America's Cup steerer on board in Nathan Outeridge, Jimmy, are you surprised to hear Glenn being so vocal and so in control of the strategy?
Yeah, look, I think Glenn is doing a lot of the management of the team on board, and he's got really clear comms, and it's definitely one of his strengths. And Nate's just got his head out of the boat, focusing on where he needs to fly.
And where are we flying, Tessa? How is the course shaping up today?
Yeah, we've got a close contest ID crossing clear ahead of pavement there with the rainbow sails. So this is going to lead on to another crossing up the course. All the boats here are trying to maximise their distance. They sail out to the boundary line. You can see in this moderate breeze, every time they tack and make a manoeuvre, they really drop off speed. The hull hits the water and it takes time to rebuild. So we've got all boats in the race now on the same tack, heading out to the right-hand side towards the spectator boats. So Jimmy, how do we get these boats foiling and stable flight out of the water?
Yeah, it's a really interesting aspect of this racing that you see where there's so many manoeuvres being thrown. The boats are almost always accelerating. So you can see the foil that Goob's there on the front, Ian Jensen, he's pulling that up, and that's what the boat's flying on. So you can see the one there on the leeward side of the boat, that's down in the water, acts just the same as an aeroplane wing. So when they get going fast enough, the boat will just rise up out of the water.
Yeah, and the reason why they've got to pull that windward one, the hull that's flying out of the water, is to decrease drag. So every time they make a manoeuvre, they've got to change the foil positions over. So we come on board Euroflex here. You can see the skipper, all 3 crew out on trapeze. Jimmy, what does the skipper do on the boat?
Yeah, so you can see the boat's flying really nicely here, and there's Nathan Outeridge, left hand on the buttons, flying the boat. He's also got to drive it as well and steer it through those gusts and lulls. You can see there in front of him is Glenn Ashby in the middle, and Ian Goob's Jensen, as we call him, he's on the front. So they're both trimming the sails, and here as we go for the tack, what you'll see is Goob's jump in the boat, and he's got to transfer those foils. So he's got to pull that foil down on his side, and then as you'll see here in a sec, he's going to leap out in front of the mast, and he's got to pull that new foil up as well. So they've all got to hit the wire, get the foils up, settle the boat, get it flying again.
Yeah, it's quite a physical role. You can see on board the intensity here, pulling down the ropes. It's such hard work with all the manoeuvres in the race course. Main sheet has to go underneath the main there because it's just so low to the boat.
Nice job, big fella.
Yeah, you can see there Dan Morris on the front getting the hard work done.
Go when you want. Go.
Well, Reece Mara called good work, big fella, but I don't know if he was watching what was unfolding before his very eyes, because at that very moment, ID hit the front, and Pavement now sitting in third and kicking themselves.
On board ID, Ed Powers and Fang Warren, 2 rugby players working hard. Euroflex putting that windward foil down, getting ready for attack. They've just induced a little too much lift in the boat to fly up, a bit of a crash down out of the tack. But they'd be getting pretty close to this top mark ley line there as they come back away from the spectator boats.
Drives down just a click.
Yeah, and Glennie there just saying he's got the traveller down just a click, helping Nathan with the mode upwind. Again, such clear communication, everyone in sync here.
James, that's a good point for our listeners at home to take on board, just to trim the traveller more than the main sheet.
Yeah, when you're out there this weekend, just drop the traveller a click and you'll be off just like these guys.
These boys are well travelled. They spent some time in Bermuda for the America's Cup, and they've got the Euroflex travelling at speed now, 130 metres plus.
Yeah, I reckon we'll go close if we work on high mode here.
That gap is now out to 150 metres, but they're not sure if they will be able to lay that first mark. And Paul Campbell, James, Ed Powys and Fang Warren will be licking their lips at the prospect to pounce here.
5 away, good. No more trap down, okay? Want a high mode all the time. Want you in front of the mast in this tack, Fang. Okay, go ahead.
Paul Campbell, James with a very active role, barking instructions there versus Glenn Ashby, who is doing all the talking on Euroflex. What is all this dialogue about, Tessa?
Yeah, it's intense out on the racecourse here. Lots of manoeuvres, lots of things going on. So each person plays a different role. The bowman really controlling the ley line talk, the main sheet, looking up the course for strategy, pressure, other boats.
And occasionally the bit of encouragement. Fang, though, in the middle, more of the silent type. He loves the walks on the beach and just getting the job done.
Yeah, CJ on the other hand, he's quite a talker. A lot going on here. You can see a pressure lane they're sailing into, so gearing up for more boat power.
Okay, stand by tack.
They'll be loving this at the moment. ID looks like they've got a nice little cushion over pavement. And as Euroflex turns that first marker, well, ID will very much like their chances from here, Jimmy.
Yeah, look, they're doing really well here, the guys. They've got a really nice ley line into this top mark, and really being able to come around there with a lot of speed and on the foils is super, super crucial.
Tight turn there at the jibe mark. Not much room as to the boundary. So here they're trying to get foiling on the downwind. Looks like the wind might have lightened off a little bit, but we've still got 3 on trapeze. So that's a pretty good indicator, Jimmy, that they're sailing high and trying to power the boat up to get it lifted out of the water.
Yeah, such an awesome shot there you had. You know, you can see so many lines on the boat and everyone's got to be in sync. No one can do the wrong thing at the wrong time or the boat's just going to come crashing down off the foils. And you can see it's so tight here between pavement and ID. You know, one mistake and the boat's just going to leap in front.
Pavement's made up some great ground there. They've closed the gap to just 5 seconds, and it seemed like that was really their leg just then, Pavement, as ID losing even more steam right now.
Yeah, they're just taking a bit of time to get the hull flying out of the water, and the difference in boat speed from that acceleration of flying, Jimmy, is just, what, 5 knots?
Yeah, 5 knots and the rest. You know, the boats can literally double their speed, sail twice as fast as the wind. So it's really important once you've got that momentum that you hold on to it. And it's those little mistakes that bring you down off the foil. Suddenly the water hits the hull and it's just like glue and you're stuck.
So Phil grabbing the trapeze line there, hooking it onto his harness. They're trying to get max weight out here just to generate the power into this top mark to approach for the downwind, just to get the boat foiling around the mark.
Do not write off Phil Robertson and Record Point. They're coming in hot. We've got a ding-dong battle between Pavement and ID2. Euroflex enjoying her time in the Adelaide sunshine here as we really start to ratchet up things with Cleanmate in a battle between 4th and 5th, fighting Record Point all the way. Olivia Price, a silver medalist from the London Games, she'll be steaming to get her way and close the gap to Record Point.
Yeah, these sailors just make it look easy, but it's really difficult on board the boats. The accuracy and the skill involved to get these powerful machines flying out of the water.
Ready to go stern, I think, boys? Yep. Let's go forward. Okay, turning. Below this one.
Jimmy, I can't believe how relaxed everything is on Euroflex. I've had more heated conversations, more stressful moments at a bar with my mates. These guys are so relaxed.
Yeah, for sure. These guys are putting on an absolute clinic at the moment, and there's no rules of how close they can get to these spectator boats, so they're getting really close in there and really maximising the boundary.
No doubt about it. The spectators sure are getting their money's worth, and why not? Looking at the calibre of races we have here. It's not just Euroflex, it's also boats like ID Intranet who are throwing down the challenge to everyone ahead of them.
Yeah, for sure. ID here just stuck like glue to the water. They can't get the boat moving.
Yeah. Let Ed do the board, okay?
Don't worry about it.
Talk to me, Fang.
Just stop right.
Got him. Okay, stand by jibe. Go when you want.
Just seeing Euroflex creep into the picture there, so crucial to get clear instructions, and interesting to hear CJ yelling forward as well.
Just go negative on that board for me.
When these boats get down speed, they're really hard to handle. They like to be up on the foils and moving along really nicely. And once you stop, you know, it can be so difficult to get going, and that's what Euroflex are doing so well here.
Jimmy, it looks hard close into the container ship. There's not much wind around there. Do you think they're maximising going in as close as they can, or they're worried about staying in the pressure?
Yeah, it's a really interesting feature on these racetracks. Obviously, you can see that there's big gusts and lulls and a few gaps between the container ships, so they're really trying to keep their eyes out and really find those puffs and try and maximise that as much as they can.
Give him some heel. Tony.
It's very difficult in these manoeuvres to get the timing right between the skipper steering and the bowman altering the foils. Because the mainsails are so low to the boat, you can't actually see the bowman, Nick, on the other side of the boat when you're steering.
ID, Nat. Stephen.
These are the next best, that's pavement. There's 500 metres between them and Euroflex. Expect Steve Thomas to drop the hammer and really close the gap.
Oh, splash, crew into the water, not enough lift in the hull there. Dropped on speed, crew weighed in. Now they've got to hook up again, really build their apparent and get the boat flying after that deceleration.
Sorry, my bad, that's all me. Keep the weight out.
Yeah, and you can just hear Phil Robertson there on record point apologising to the lads. Obviously had a bit of a bad jibe and missed the opportunity to get a penalty on pavement there.
Love an apology with a swear word there. That must be a Kiwi thing from Phil. I'm sorry, but beep, 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 expletive. And these guys on Euroflex, no one's going to tag them in the playground. They're in high school at the moment, and everyone else is in a different class altogether.
Yeah, look, all of the teams have had limited training time in the boats, Nick, so this is a new experience. It's a bit of an adventure for everyone, so I think as we see more races, all the techniques are going to improve and we'll see the fleet condense and really have some close racing.
No doubt, it's amazing that they're getting these things upright at the moment, given the amount of prep time they have. Some of these guys are still coming to grips with each other's names, let alone what everything does to optimise performance, particularly Jimmy on record points, sitting in fourth at the moment, your old team. It really is a case of knowing who's who in the zoo at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I might have stitched Phil Robertson and record point up a little bit there, you know. Bit of an injury on the practice day and they've had to find some new crew pretty quickly, so pretty harsh initiation at the moment.
Looking at these boats here, we know that stability equals boat speed, and there's a lot in it, Jimmy, with the angle of heel. If they're sailing to windward, the boat towards all the crew out on the wire, or to leeward, away from the sail, what's the fastest?
Yeah, for sure. So you can see here as they come out of the tack, they were a little heeled, and there's Glenn Ashby in the middle there. He's working really hard on the mainsail to get the boat flat. The mast really vertical in the air. That's going to allow it to go as fast as it can and help get the boat up onto the foils.
Yeah, and it's all about getting nice flow over the sails and not letting anything stall out.
Yeah, definitely, and this is such an amazing shot here. You can see that middle hull just flying above the water, and that's right where we want it on this upwind leg of the course. Not too high, you start to go sideways.
Gus on the nose here. Gus on 2, 1.
Reece Mara playing the role of wind whisperer there. He's been instrumental in testing these machines, so they've got a lot of time on the boats as Euroflex starts stretching out on her final leg en route.
East to me if you can, I can come up a little. Yeah, I'll just go straight center. Yep.
It's interesting, Nathan, they're saying ease main so I can come up a little bit. You've really got to keep the sails deep and eased so you can get the boat up, build speed, and then wind the sails back in.
Got to go before this yacht, don't we? Or can we go through the inside of it? Yeah, through the gap. What do you reckon? You go through the gap.
Glenn Ashby, cool as a cucumber. What do you reckon? Yeah, let's give it another scoop of ice cream. Anything he says?
Okay, 2, 1, and turning.
It's always yes as they thread the needle. Can you imagine being in a Formula One Grand Prix and seeing the cars weave their way through the audience? That is what's happening here.
Yeah, we heard a nice boys. They're 4-point foiling, Jimmy, so beautiful curve through that turn.
Yeah, look, they pulled off a really nice job there, and you can see that unlike the upwind, they've got all their foils down for this downwind, and that's helping them get a lower mode downwind. It will be a little bit slower, but they make much better progress down the track.
Pavement's making some progress here as well, stretching out the gap between second and third.
Big turn.
Calling weight out big time there. Steve Thomas needs a speed build on the helm.
Yeah, Dan Morris doing the hard yards, pulling that centerboard up as they're sailing along. He's got so many jobs to do at once, and he's just trying to manage them all and get the most important ones done first.
Frustrating day for the crew on ID. At one stage in second, now drifting further and further away and probably feeling helpless about their chances of capturing Euroflex, who is gobbling up the course at the moment.
Yeah, Nick, we've seen the seaweed out on the course. I wonder if that's having an effect. It can easily get stuck on the foils and cause cavitation and slow the boats down and be quite difficult to get off.
We're just after that Tech 2 flag, I think.
Yeah, for sure. If you get some weed stuck on your foils, it's almost impossible to get off and can really slow the boat down.
No one's going slow at the moment, Jimmy. It's full throttle stuff. We'll find out where the places stack up after this. And Super Saturday living up to its name. What a start we've had so far today. Cleanmate doing well. Record points still very much in it, but this is our front runner.
Yep. Hit call loud, talk that. Yep.
Yeah, and you can see these guys here sailing along at 25, 30 knots and totally calm on the boat. Nath just pulling off an awesome foiling job there. Takes so much synchronization between the crew, doing such an amazing job on this tight racetrack.
Now, James, you can see the finish line just appear at the top of the screen between the white mark at the very top left, and there'll be a committee boat on the other end of the line there. So they're in their final approach to the finish.
Yeah, look, they're going to try and get there in one more jibe, and the more maneuvers they have to do, it's going to be a penalty on their speed. So they're going to try and go all the way to this boundary and try and lay in one.
Looks like they're going for it now.
And yeah, you can see just how hard Ed Powers is having to work on the front of the boat. Really interesting that they're still going with that windward foil up.
Yeah, we've seen a difference in technique on this downwind, Jimmy. There's a difference between the 3- and 4-point foiling.
Yeah, look, it's really interesting here. When they've got this windward foil up, they're going to go a little faster but sail more distance. And we've seen from the Euroflex guys, they're so good at making that two boards down mode work.
Huffing and puffing like the big bad wolf there as Euroflex close in. Outeridge going all out on Outer Harbour. They're now 2 from 2, Euroflex.
Nice, boys. Next time. Nice cover. Good job.
Yeah, they're so chill there. You can see Gooby just catching his breath.
Or do we stop?
Fair enough question there. Do we do another lap, Glenn? They almost could and still win it, which is so surprising, given earlier in the race, this machine, ID, was pushing them all the way. Now they're struggling to hold on to third position.
Stand by.
Yeah. Yeah, look, Pavement doing an awesome job here as well. They're pretty polished on the boat. They're doing most things right. They've got a good leader here in second. But you can see them going for the 4-point foiling here, the same as Euroflex. Really interesting tactic, and I think it's definitely paying off for them.
Tess, this is a great shot, letting us know how that battle for second is unfolding. We've got Pavement at the head and ID not too far behind.
Right angle. Need to head up, like 20.
Yeah, well.
Test pressure starting to show there for Pavement. Have they dropped the ball here?
Yeah, look, we've seen two different techniques on this downwind. You can either 3 or 4 point foil. You can see Pavement, Euroflex were doing the same. They've got both main foils, so both of the front foils completely in the water, which means they sail a much lower angle, but the offset of that is it's difficult to build a high boat speed, so you could just hear Reese calling, sail higher, get going quicker.
What about this clean-made stalking record point, shadowing every move? It's a hot battle for 4th and 5th. And is it too early to assume that Pavement are already home and host? Have they already wrapped up 2nd place? 400 odd metres, it's going to be a tough ask for ID to shut the gate at this late stage.
Leaving the board down on the other jibe. Stand by jibe. Jibing in 3, 2, 1, go in.
So ID here, 3 point foiling on the downwind, so Ed's having to work with the foils throughout the jibe. Oh, slight touchdown, little error with the lift on the foils there.
You just got to drop it.
Getting it up, Puck, we've got to get the finish.
Okay, fine.
Pressure stations there for ID. They need to get to the finish if they're going to have any chance of snuffing out Pavement.
Okay, come out when you can.
Errors like that
Go
will
out.
be costly, no doubt about it. As we see exactly how it all came undone there, and it's a chance to cool off and get ready to ignite the fire again, Jimmy.
Yeah, incredibly tough conditions to throw foiling jibes at the moment.
Talk to me about sheet extension. 85. Okay, Max, please.
Yeah, and so what you're seeing here is that when they enter these jibes, they need to be going as fast as possible to have any chance of be foiling out the other side. And there's a lot of coordination as you see Ed there going to drop that foil.
I do like the fact though, Jimmy, that they're going for this 3 point foiling. I think it's got a lot of potential as we move through the series because they will be able to reach a high speed once they figure out the technique of the turn.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to take a little bit for the teams to get their numbers and their rakes dialed into those foils, and then they'll be able to get the full potential out of the boat. But you can see at the moment, teams like Cleanmate you see here with all their foils down, and Euroflex just opting for the easier, safer option.
Two can almost eyeball each other here as they also eyeball the finish line. This is going to be a great little contest within the battle here for bragging rights across the whole entire Adelaide weekend. And you'd have to like their chances. You'd have to like Pavement's chances this far out from the line as well. She hasn't got too far to go to make her way to the finish line. But sloppy moves like that.
Nick, we're seeing a close battle into the finish between 2nd Pavement and 3rd ID here. I'm looking forward to seeing the overview. Whoever's going to come in with pressure could really win this race.
Thanks, Jim.
Breach just getting into Dan Morris here about easing the jib.
Great pressure. 3, 2, 1.
And then Dan doing a great job just calling those puffs into the boat, helping Steve to drive around, and Steve can focus on flying the boat there.
Looks like there's opportunities everywhere with the darker pressure bands coming down the course.
More pressure on the ship.
Go for it.
Still liking their chances here, Paul Campbell-James, the son of an Olympian. He'll be fighting his whole entire way to that finishing marker. And it's just leaving the door open more and more here, Stevie Thomas, just a little loose. And all of a sudden that gap, which was hundreds of metres, is now closing in.
Easy way.
Come on.
Yeah, the pressure's on here. We're starting to see a few mistakes at the moment as they approach the finish line.
We're going to get these guys here, boys.
Pretty positive on board ID.
Well, if he gets them, I'll eat my hat from there. They're not even in the picture at the moment. Pavement can almost throw a tennis ball to the finish line. This will be one hell of a Hail Mary.
Yeah, this is so close. You can see the finish, the white boy and the committee boat here, and ID flying into the screen. They've got great pressure as they pick the final ley line into the mark. They're also inside boat coming into the finish here. Nick, this is close.
Doesn't come any closer than this, Tess. I may have jinxed myself. I better open my mouth and get my hat ready because ID are going to squeak ahead of Pavement.
Nice, boys. Good finish. Well done, Ed. Well done, Frank. That was really good. Really nice work, boys.
Unbelievable finish, Tessa. Pavement throwing it all the way, but ID squeaking home there by 2 seconds.
Yeah, you've got to keep on your game right to the end and try and connect together these opportunities, and credit to Team ID. They did a great last downwind there, and they showed that that 3-point foiling's got potential to be super, super quick.
It sure does, and we look at the results from our second race here in South Australia. Euroflex, in the end, with plenty of breathing space at the top, but it was this battle between ID Intranet and Pavement that will send chins wagging in the boat park for a long time to come.
Want a high mode all the time. When you're in front of the mast in this tack bank.
Flying through the spectator boats out there would just be loving it, getting so close to the action.
Well done, Ed. Well done, Frank. That was really good. Really nice work, boys.